What's going on, guys? This is Gast, and today I'm going to be talking about a few of the new mechanics that was revealed from the Famitsu article about 3 houses. There's, of course, a bunch of topics that we can talk about today, but I'm going to be just talking about crests and the instructor gauges and that sort of topic and managing kind of your students, rather than trying to encompass everything and talk about the Knights Guild and stratagems and things like that. I'll save that for another video and kind of give my take on that one, but this I wanted to talk about just the crests and the skills and that kind of aspect of the reveal. So without further ado, here we go. The first thing for me that came to mind when the Famitsu article wrote about the crest mechanic was Genealogy of the Holy War. For those who don't know, crests in FE4 symbolized what kind of holy blood a certain character carried. For example, Sigurd had the major blood of Balder, one of the 12 Crusaders of Light. Ishtar had the major blood of Thrud, but there were also characters with minor bloods like HERE who had the minor blood of Od. Or Odo. I don't know. These translations were kind of hard to wrap my head around, so if I pronounce them wrong, you get what I mean anyways. In the Yggdrasil saga, these crests were called marks, and they would appear on the bodies of those who carried it. Julius had the mark of Loptis on his head, Galzus had the mark on his back, and this has been kind of a staple throughout the series as well. Lucina had the mark of Naga on her eye, Krom's was on his shoulder, Emeren's on her forehead, and Grima's was on Robin's hand. In the world of Yggdrasil, there are 13 kinds of holy blood. And the reason why there are 13 and not 12 is simply because Loptis, the dark god of the world, who ruled over Yggdrasil at the time, was certainly not one of the 12 Crusaders that were blessed by the 12 dragons to stop him. Many, but not all characters in FE4 possessed holy blood. Some, like I mentioned above, had major and others had minors. There's not really a pattern in who gets major blood or minor blood. Sometimes the firstborn child has major blood and the secondborn has minor blood, like Maracle with Major Odo, where his younger sister HERE, like I said before, had minor, but other times it's kind of random. There were no real social stigmas to having a minor instead of a major, as most of the time it was sort of just circumstance, but there was a big stigma, and this is kind of one of the driving forces behind the plot of the Yggdrasil series, of being of the minor or major blood of Loptis. Some characters were blackmailed for it. Mechanically, major and minor blood served a few purposes. Holy blood would steer a stat growth in a certain direction, increase weapon ranks, and for major blood holders, grant the use of holy weapons. The 3 houses has been indicating something similar to this mechanic all the way since the first trailer, regarding the crests for each house. Now that we have more information on how these crests mechanically work, let's try to piece some things together. Are they going to function similarly like they did way back in FE4? Let's take a look. Well, story-wise, unsurprisingly, those who bear crests are higher on the social hierarchy than those who don't. Also, these crests are going to allow for certain abilities to be unlocked, as seen here with Byleth doing some sort of Nosferatu attack, and Byleth's crest in particular is interesting. As the article makes note, this crest appears on Sothis' clothes and the caped whip sword guy in the first trailer, and looking back on that trailer, he may be related to Byleth somehow. It's possible he could be the man named Nemesis, and the battle going on in the first trailer with him might have been taking place in the past. Remember, the lore as it stands says that the Church of Serenes fought a man named Nemesis, and consequently, Adrestia was established. Then again, perhaps the battle takes place in the next war after the Kingdom of Fergus and the Leicester Alliance seceded from the Empire. Whatever it is, this gruff-looking barbarian clearly does not like the Church. And that might spell some not-so-great news with Rhea and Byleth, but we'll need to see for ourselves when the game comes out. These crests are going to have certain abilities tied onto them, as we can assume from the first screenshot. So while Genealogy in 3 houses has similarities among how their crests work, 3 houses is clearly going to do a lot more. 3 houses takes the skill system from the past Fire Emblem games and uses its unique setting to take the mechanic further. While personal skills and class skills make a return, professor skills are customizable. As the screenshot reveals, Hubert has customizable stuff like a bow rank and rally magic, but that said, this doesn't mean you can just safely do whatever you want and teach anyone anything. Like in all Fire Emblem games with customizable stuff, a character is going to want to spend their time excelling at what they do best. Gray makes a great mercenary, but he has no business being reclassed into a mage. In the instructor menu, the topmost gauge determines how many times you can instruct a student. The blue arrow indicates a high proficiency and the red arrows indicate low proficiency. In my previous video on Fire Emblem 3 houses, I was concerned that meeting the requirements to class up would be annoying and instead of the traditional way of leveling up to level 10 and just using a promo item. But here, by careful use of this mechanic, it doesn't seem like it will be that difficult of a problem at all. From what I see, this mechanic will help with weapon proficiency and skills and that kind of thing. But tutoring even goes deeper than this. This is actually kind of crazy. So you can tutor, but as you can see with Hubert, this didn't give a lot of XP to him. And you can leave feedback by apparently either scolding or comforting students if they get bad marks. However, if you keep working on a flawed skill in this game, eventually you'll get better at it. Kinda like if I were to study pre-cal but not be completely fucking hopeless and fail and have to take another entire year of university. Yeah, so one thing that kind of concerned me about having so much freedom to teach anyone anything, would it be worth teaching a student something they actually sucked at? But here you can actually push them to flourish in something that they are bad in. I really like this idea, and they can even learn abilities from their formerly flawed skills. On top of this, you can have students set goals so they can independently study on skills you assign to them. I really hope there's one kid, like Casper or something, who procrastinates like really badly and ends up being a complete train wreck if he tries to study on his own. That's the next support science right there. Not only can you get people to study independently, but you can also get them to study in groups or partners with group tasks. So not only do you gain kind of more experience in your skills and proficiencies by doing group tasks, as you can see here with Dorothea and Bernadetta, and also Petra and Edelgard, but you can also have them increase their support points as well. So not only can you, I'm assuming, increase their support points in the games or in the maps themselves like before, but also you can kind of do it off screen as well, which is pretty good for kind of managing everything else and getting your own students to have some own, agency with their lives instead of just micromanaging them forever. Is this even a Fire Emblem game anymore? Another topic that this article talks about is the instructor level. On top of the instructor gauge, there's a stroll and venture gauge too. These gauges will increase as our instructor's level increases, meaning you can accomplish more in the span of a chapter. This is probably one of the mechanics that I am most looking forward to and am most curious about is motivation. You can motivate students because they'll be coming to you as the teacher for advice. As they show here in the screenshots, Dorothea is talking about what boys like, and then when Lorenz is asking Byleth about dating advice, there's 3 options for you to choose from. The translated text says, "For some reason girls look at me in disdain. Is courting a lady merely a lofty dream for me? No, perhaps in my case it's an impossible dream." So you have 3 options, and I'm really glad they have 3 options, because if it were up to me, I would tell him to go to a fucking barber and get a haircut. So as far as I can read, that's all Famitsu and Serenes had about the teaching mechanic going on in Three Houses, and it's nothing like how Fire Emblem used to function. I mean, you can tell there are inspirations from previous titles like I talked about before, but this has taken the teacher idea and ran with it until the cows come home. The depth and customization to this looks astronomically vast. There are multiple ways to level up, yet your resources are still limited with your instructor, strolling, and venturing gauges. Being able to manage all of these and picking up who and what to tutor is definitely going to take some getting used to, but also is going to contribute a lot to replayability. But I'm loving the sound of this mechanic and looking forward to making everyone a paladin for those sweet cavalry strats. But I think for my first playthrough I'll play it safe and probably won't try to expend too many of my resources on obscure stat spreads, but this is the kind of game to be shaping up to be having insane replay value. Not only in that you can restructure whoever character into whatever role that you want them to be in, not only that you can have students convert their flaws into assets, but also you can pick different entire just teams to begin with from the beginning. Anyways, folks, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want to hear me talk about more Fire Emblem Three Houses news, go ahead and subscribe for more. With that being said, hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.